This is 210 Local Music Podcast. You're listening to episode number 28.
210 Local Music.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/210localmusic. There are over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Thanks for tuning into 210 Local Music Podcast. This is episode number 28, and this is our first official episode of 2014. And I first wanted to start off by apologizing. I had gotten really sick. I've got asthma, and I couldn't breathe properly, so I couldn't speak properly. And I just hadn't had a chance to really try to do anything new because of that. And I still haven't really gotten to do any sort of interviews yet. The new partner that we've got for 210 Local Media, we were supposed to do an interview, and we weren't able to get it done. And part of that was also still because I was sick, scheduling issues, of course. Everything that would cause things to just not work out was happening. And hopefully that'll be alleviated soon moving forward. But instead of leaving another blank week, I was already pretty pained by leaving the week before New Year's empty. That kind of, I really didn't like that. And then to miss another week on top of that really kind of upset me. So I really wanted to at least do something. So we're going to have some music this episode. I haven't really decided at this point what. And I also kind of wanted to put out some information that I had started to do an episode on, more so for musicians, specifically geared to musicians. But I thought it might be something that music lovers themselves might be interested in finding out about as well. So I'll throw a little bit of that into this episode and hopefully get this pushed out on time. And if not, then I'll just push it out on Friday or Saturday, anytime that I can get some time to get it done. So I appreciate your patience with us. And like I said, we are going through a lot of changes right now. We've got a new partner. We're going through a rebranding right now. You guys know us as 210 Local Music Podcast. We're going to change that up a little bit. We're just changing the name. Our focus is still pretty much the same, but we are changing to 210 Media. It was really tough for me to kind of get rid of the local aspect, but it's kind of already implied with the 210 area code for San Antonio, which hopefully by now, if you've been listening and this isn't your first time, that you're kind of familiar with that idea that we are pretty much San Antonio based. So like I said, it is a bit of rebranding. We're still going to focus on the same kind of things, and I think pretty much we're just going to label each different episode as its specific category, like local music or local film or local entertainment, local art. I kind of like that idea, but we are going through rebranding, so we are going to be getting a new logo. We've got a new host coming on board with us. We've got lots of things changing. Something that I've kind of hinted at, but I didn't really want to mention it until a little bit more was solidified, but we are starting a podcast network with 2 other podcasts so far in San Antonio, and I'm not going to say who yet, and we may not stop there. We might add on another, or maybe even start a brand new one out of the 3 shows that are involved in the network. Who knows? The sky's the limit. But we really want to step up our game and take the podcasts to a new level. So with that being said, I don't want to keep going on this portion because this is just an intro, and I don't want to have to edit everything. So here's a little bit of what I recorded for a couple of weeks ago while I was still sick, so you'll have to pardon. I'm not going to edit all of the ums and all of the coughing, and I just don't have the time to do that right now. But and then we'll have some music, and I'll come back and I'll let you know who we're going to listen to. Something that came up this past week is I met some people that are in a local band. I'm not going to name the band here because kind of what I wanted to cover is some of the do's and don'ts, and more so the combination of do's and don'ts that can apply to local musicians, people that are wanting to get heard, people that are wanting to gather a following. I'm just going to do some hints and tips here real quick because one of the things that I'd really like to do moving forward is maybe do some sort of consultations for DIY, local musicians, indie bands, whatever, anybody who's making content that wants to find a way to get that content out to as many people as possible. the event that came up that really wanted me to start approaching this subject on the podcast directly is that there was this local band that I met, and I liked the way they sounded. I thought they were really good. And I asked them, hey, where can I listen to your music? And they're like, oh, well, we're trying to get onto iTunes. Right now we've got some stuff on SoundCloud. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So you do have a SoundCloud? Yes, we do. Okay. What's your website? What's your webpage? Oh, well, we don't have a website yet. We have a Facebook fan page. There's not very many fans on it, but, we're trying to get started. Oh, okay, well, how long have you guys been going? How long have you been trying to get started? Oh, we've been together for almost a year now. That really... I'm not going to say anything bad about anybody or it's not even about that. It's really more so about the fact that they obviously want a following. They want fans. They want people to hear their music. And to me, the biggest aspect of that is, one, making sure that you don't just have a Facebook fan page. There's some things that are out there that exist for musicians that should definitely be taken advantage of, and some of them cost money, some of them are free, and for the free aspect, I think everybody should have a Reverb Nation page. I even have a Reverb Nation account, and I'm not a musician, I'm not a DIY musician, I'm not anything like that, but I do create content, and it is catering to those in the music industry, so I figured, why not create a Reverb Nation? So I'm number one in charge for San Antonio for spoken word. And that's awesome. I think that's great. I am glad I can use this tool, but I'm so surprised when I hear that bands don't get to use this tool. That they're not taking advantage of that outlet, of the ability to say, check out our Reverb Nation page. Anything that you can do in addition to a Facebook fan page is going to be helpful, because not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody wants to do the social media thing. A lot of people just want to go to a website. So that's another aspect of it is, even if you don't get a Reverb Nation page, which is free to a degree, you can pay and get some more add-ons and stuff like that, but if you don't want to go free, or you don't have to go free, and you would want to invest a little bit of money in something a little bit better, there's always WordPress, and you can do WordPress.org and get your hosting like I did through GoDaddy, and pretty soon I'll try to come up with some affiliate link for it or whatever, but basically I got a GoDaddy account, built my web page, ran everything through the WordPress install from GoDaddy's access panel, and I love it. I think I'm really proud of my webpage. I'm the only one that's really gotten to do anything with it. I haven't gotten too many people to take a look at trying to help me fix some stuff. There's some stuff that I'd like to fix, but point being, it's 210localmusic.com. I mean, that's the name of what I do. That's everything. So it could be yourbandname.com, which is extremely important, because you don't want to give somebody a web address or put down a link to your band's webpage anywhere and have it be www.word, and there's other WordPress things that are free, and it'll be wordpress.com/ or you don't want to say stitcherradio.com/ and then a bunch of numbers and letters, and then finally your band name with a bunch of dashes in it either. You really want something that has your own information on it. www.210localmusic.com, and I even purchased 210lm.com and just did a redirect, just because it's easier that way. I mean, let's say you have a band name that's some extremely long name. Oh, even just I can't think of an example right now, but think of a band name that's huge, and then think of the acronym for it. And a lot of times bands will go by their acronym if they have a name that big. Songs do it too. I mean, take into account Adidas by Korn. That's ADIDAS. If that was a band name, you wouldn't want to put all day. You wouldn't put all that into the website www. blah 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 blah. You could put www.adidas.com. Definitely don't do that, because I'm sure that's probably already owned by the actual shoe company. Point being, you want your own name on it. You really want your own stamp on it. You want to be able to tell your fans, hey, easiest, just type in our name.com. That's it. I mean, that's super easy. The other thing about that, you are able to get into Google search engine optimization. Now, it's going to get a little geeky here just for a minute. So for local bands for people that aren't familiar with search engine optimization, it's the ability to use keywords that most people would type into Google to be able to get the search results that they want. So, for example, when I put out a podcast episode, I use certain keywords, and I use certain tags, and I use certain meta tags to boost my SEO. And that SEO score means that my webpage is going to show up in a certain rank compared to others that have the same kind of stuff. Great thing about that is that if you do it the right way, you can end up being one of the top results in Google and probably stay in the top, and maybe even just in the first page. So sometimes that's really important, is Google SEO. Another thing that's really important, like I said, aside from Facebook fan page, aside from your own WordPress website, not even just WordPress, there's tons of other ones. There's Squarespace, there's lots of other stuff. There's Wix.com, there's tons of others that are available just in general, and then there's some that are geared directly towards musicians and content creators. Point being, you have a lot of options out there. And the great thing about GoDaddy, if you type in cheap GoDaddy domain, you can probably find something less than $2 a year. If you just go through the regular site, you're going to end up paying $14 per year or something. Just every time that I've purchased a domain, it's been under $5 a year for each one, and I own a few now. So that's just something to think about. Other than that, I think every band should have a Twitter account. And it's tough because a lot of people, we're not going to do that. We're not into the social media thing. Okay, so you're saying you don't want people to show up to your shows. Oh, well, we only want our fans to show up. Well, that might work for a little while, but a lot of bands that have been doing this for a very long time can tell you the same thing that I'm going to say right now. There's no way to catch lightning in a bottle. There really isn't a place in this day and age for somebody to say, I'm just going to sit back and wait for it to happen. Every DIYer out there can tell you, no, you have to work. You have to work really hard to get things to happen, and nobody's going to just discover you. It could happen. I'm not going to say nobody. Let me take that back. I'm not going to say nobody, but the chances of that happening are extremely slim. Not only that, the people that have been quote-unquote discovered, most of them were grinding for years, trying to get gigs, trying to get seen before they made it big, before they had their big break. So people try really hard to do that kind of stuff, and it pays off if you work hard. So why don't you maximize your chances, maximize your ability, and get everywhere that your fans are. So Twitter, Facebook, Circle, Instagram, Vine, do whatever you can to be seen. Submit your information to flyer.fm. Submit your information to 210localmusic.com. Send us your stuff. Point being, you really want to be where your audience is. Just like people do flyers, just like bands put out flyers and they say, we're going to go to Hog Wild, or we're going to go to Guitar Center, or we're going to go to, wherever, and we're going to post our posters wherever we can, because we're pretty sure this is where our fans are going to be. Well, guess what? How many millions of people use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Circle, and Vine? Lots. So you're really doing yourself a disservice if you don't have a Twitter account or any of these other accounts that I'm talking about. Something else, kind of going back to Twitter just real quickly, something that I've noticed a lot of people like to be, I don't know if it's that they like to be coy or that they just want to portray a certain image on their Twitter. But one thing that's very important, at least to me as a content creator and as a content absorber, somebody who takes in content, is I'll get follows by bands that, it's like, so-and-so is the name of the band, and we do music. That's it. It doesn't give me any other information. Chances are I'm not going to follow back. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what they represent. Don't know what kind of music they do. It doesn't have a website. It doesn't have a Facebook link. It doesn't have any of that information. And it doesn't even say where they're from. So to me, being a San Antonio podcaster and podcasting on San Antonio music, art, film, and entertainment, I'm only going to follow back certain bands. There's a few that I follow that are outside of San Antonio and even outside of Texas, but by and large, I'm trying to only follow local San Antonio acts, performers, musicians. And if you don't have that in your title, in your whatever your Twitter settings where it has your tagline or whatever, I'm not going to follow you. Now, I might be the only one. You might get followed by 1 billion people, and it won't even matter what you put. But to me, the key to success would be to say, we are so-and-so. This is the name of the band. We are from blah, blah, blah. We create music, or we create film, or we create this. And maybe a little snippet about yourselves, like the names of the people in your band, or definitely the link to your Facebook, or definitely the link to your website. Put that in there. and have a good picture, a background picture that has something to do with what you're doing or what you're wanting to do. It's just very important. The social media aspect of do-it-yourself kind of music and indie kind of music is that if you are doing it all yourself, then you need to make sure that you're not wasting your time. There has to be some sort of ROI, another geeky term, return on investment. If you've invested the time to create a Twitter account and you don't invest any time in the picture or invest any time in setting up your tagline, you're going to have 20 Twitter followers between now and next year. And I don't mean this current 2013 into 2014. I'm saying 12 months. Some bands don't get any more viewers, and it's really difficult for them because they're not putting enough effort into it. Well, if you do put enough effort into it, you have a higher chance of being seen by a lot more people, and the local music scene, I can say, is very supportive of each other. So if you're following another local band and yours says San Antonio and theirs says San Antonio, they're going to know, hey, this is another local band I can help support, and they can help support me, and maybe we'll play together, or maybe we'll be involved in some way, shape, or form together. So these are just options to think about. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about isn't necessarily social media related, but it is related to how you sell yourself, how you portray yourself when you're submitting music. I just recently created a page on our website under our Contact Us page that basically has a submission form. You tell us your name, your band name, email, whatever. I'm still trying to build on that form. So far I've had one submission, so I got to get with that person and let them know, hey, this is what I need, and then we'll go ahead and get forward on moving in to get you onto the podcast. One thing that's important to me is the ease of being able to download the music, to get a hold of the music from the musicians. So a lot of musicians have stuff set up to, we're in iTunes. Okay, well, yeah, I know, I get that. Your fans want to be able to access your information, your music by iTunes. But if you're dealing with the media, whether it be me as a podcaster or local news, local radio, anybody like that, or anybody that can help promote your band, you want to have something that's easy for them to be able to take in MP3 format, in file format. You can still deal in CDs, a lot of places do, but by and large, everybody's dealing with digital files. So what you're going to want to do is one of a few different things. You could either set up something through, I believe it's not Bandsintown, but you're going to want to set up a couple of different things possibly, or at least one of these things. One is a Dropbox account or a Bitcasa account, any sort of cloud account where you can share your files and that other person doesn't have to have that same cloud account. A lot of bands have been at least sending stuff to me through Dropbox, which is amazing because they send me a link, it takes me to that file folder, and I can download all of the music in that file folder. So they'll send me entire CDs, multiple releases, whatever, but it's basically just an email with a link in it. That's really helpful. Another one would be just having your music in file format and able to be emailed out. To me, the best thing for that is if you have any sort of an email account, I'd say Gmail is always the best. Gmail to me is awesome. I've never had any problems with it. I love it. The great thing about Gmail is you can create folders and subfolders, kind of like Outlook if anybody's messed with Outlook. And you can use Outlook as well, and that'll work for many different types of email accounts. Point being is that you can organize stuff, and what I've done with some of my stuff, at least my podcasting stuff, is I'll put a file of my podcast and I'll mail it to myself, and I'll create a separate folder just for that, just for those sounds. So I've got that pre-formatted. Same thing with my release. I'll send that to myself so that way I have it on file. And if I need to send out an email to somebody from my cell phone, all I have to do is go to that old email, download the attachment, and once I've downloaded it, then I can resend it based on that. Or I can just forward the email and delete my old information except for the attached file and put in the new information. So that file will now travel through that email to that next person. So just some things to think about. And there's some other programs as well that I can't think of right now, but I'll probably bring them up some other time, where you're able to set up a download code. And those musicians that are out there that have dealt with it, if you guys can let me know the names of some of the ones that you've dealt with, and I can definitely play that, put that audio into one of the next podcasts. So if you do remember the name, if you want to give me a call, our Google voicemail is 210-802-1197. That's 210-802-1197. Leave your audio feedback for me. Let me know, hey, this is what we do and we find it useful, or this is how we could help out other musicians. And really use that voicemail for anything. Now, keep in mind it is a voicemail, so it's going to ring about 4 or 5 times before it goes into the voicemail setting. It's not an actual phone line. That's another great reason that I love Google. Now you can have a Google Voice account and create your own phone number and give that out. If you don't need anything to be monitored directly or need to answer the call, you can just have it go to that voicemail. These are all different things that I've picked up along the way that I think could be helpful to some people. Not everybody, a lot of this information isn't for every type of musician or artist or filmmaker or entertainer or content creator, but some of it could be useful, I'm hoping. But if you have any hints and tips on anything that other musicians, specifically we'll go with musicians this time around, if you have anything that you can offer as far as, hey, maybe you should try doing this, to either be heard by the media or be heard by more listeners, then let me know. Give us a call or email me at 210localmusic.com. I'm sorry, 210localmusic@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it. And if you give me a call and you record your voicemail, then I can play that online as well. So far, we've only played one voicemail, and I'd love to get a lot more call-ins. I think that would be awesome, and hopefully the musicians out there that would want to do that as well. And just to throw this out there, I hadn't thought about this until this point, but we really haven't had much traffic on our Flyers webpage rather, and we haven't had a lot of submissions, and it's really difficult for me to go out and grab as many as I can and try to publish them out, just because it's a matter of time to do that. So we'll put the onus on the musicians themselves. If you have a show coming up, feel free to give us a call, 210-802-1197, and let us know, hey, I've got a show coming up this weekend. And I'll try to get that audio played. Tell me where it is. Tell us who else is going to be at the gig, what kind of music we can expect. Is there something special about the event? Is it a CD release? Is it, we're coming back from a hiatus or something like that, anything like that, or we're only doing covers this time. Whatever you'd like, and I'll play the audio online on the podcast. And that's it. That's easy, right? Just call the number, say, hey, I've got a show, blah, 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 yada, yada. Done. And then I'll put that into the podcast and release it. Now, keep in mind that my podcasts come out on Thursdays, so as long as you get me the audio before Tuesday night, then I can get it in for that podcast episode on Thursday for the weekend, for Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. If it's something during the week, just keep in mind that the next podcast episode won't come out until the next Thursday. So if you have something anytime before then, give us a heads up early enough so that we can go ahead and run it. Like I said, I'm not even sure if I'm going to put this episode out. I hope that I do, and I hope that you all enjoy it. And have a Merry Christmas. Have Happy Holidays. Happy New Year's. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye. Now I'm getting to the music portion of the show. I'm not really going to have too much music because I did a lot of talking this episode and kind of wanted to keep it a little bit shorter, but c'est la vie. First up, we've got Octahedron with Endgame. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast before, I've played it maybe 2 or 3 times, so this will be another time hearing it. If you haven't heard the podcast before and this is your first time, I'm glad that you're getting to check it out because they're a really awesome band. They recently had a Kickstarter that so far I don't believe is succeeding or has succeeded. They were trying to raise money to put out a new EP, and I think it was just a little bit too much that they were asking for, which isn't a problem. It's just with local bands trying to do that kind of thing, it's I hate to say that you have to set the bar lower, but maybe Kickstarter wouldn't have been the route to go. I probably would have gone Indiegogo. That way you don't have to raise all of the funds to get them. With Indiegogo, you could raise a portion of the funds and still be able to collect all of it, rather than losing out completely. But anyway, Octahedron, I just started a Twitter conversation with them and put something out on Twitter basically saying, if you could attend any concert, any type of concert, either 70s, 80s, or 90s, or even a themed musician or band concert, what would it be? And this is all cover-based. And part of the reason that I brought that up was the Radiohead cover concert that went on at the 502 bar, I believe in October, which was very successful. The place was packed. It was awesome. And just because I had some other stuff in my head, and one of the first responses, one of my friends, RD, the guy who does the pictures for 210 Local Music, immediately threw out wanting to hear a girl in a coma do and actually Girl in a Coma, I believe, first commented, they were saying that they wanted to do Drain You or Love Buzz, and RD had mentioned doing those and then throwing in Breed, which would be awesome. But what led to that was also just the idea of, I finally cleared out all my podcasts that I listened to, ran out of podcasts, and so I desperately turned to Pandora to listen to something, and the first song to come on was a Jefferson Airplane cover from the Sucker Punch motion picture soundtrack, which I think is an amazing cover, and it reminded me of Octahedron, and the fact that once you hear Endgame, imagine them doing their version of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. I don't know, I just think it would be awesome. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, all over social media, 210 Local Music, at least for the meantime. Like I said, we are rebranding, so everything's going to get shifted over eventually, and we'll see about growing that out. After that, we've got Swimming with Bears, Love from Afar, and technically, I don't believe that they're San Antonio. I want to say that they're Converse, maybe, or Shirts or Live Oak, somewhere pretty much around where I live. But since we do cover other surrounding areas, close surrounding areas, not Austin yet, but since we're covering surrounding areas, I wanted to give them some play as well. I think previously I had played their song Linen Closet. I really dig their style, so hopefully you will as well. And finally, ending the 3-song round is Terra Firma's Tangled in You, which is a really, to me, really awesome kind of ballady type of song. I'm just a huge fan of Terra Firma. These guys are just really amazing, really nice guys. Matt Charles was one of the musicians that volunteered his time and performance at the 210 Toys for Tots event, and like I said, just a bunch of great guys. I really look forward to working with them in the future in 2014, and I think they've got some excellent stuff coming up. I can't wait to hear their new EP that they're working on, and I don't know, this year's I think San Antonio is gonna start stepping things up. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for not forgetting about us. Remember to subscribe, rate, comment on iTunes, follow us everywhere you can. Check out our website, www.210lm.com, and that's where you can kind of keep up with us and any sort of blog posts that we put up outside of the podcasts. And send me some feedback. Let me know what you think, or what you like, what you don't like, what you love. Anyway, check us out, and taking us away is Octahedron with Endgame.
for a new start? Can they possess the heart when things get hard? Awake at night, getting colder with no one to hold. Keep the fight a little longer, but my heart is getting old. Baby, I am crazy for seeing this through. But baby, I can make it if I change myself for you. This is never ending. When will our time finally arrive? If I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? If I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? Reach out to hold what can't be compromised. Please don't touch, you can't afford these lies. Sweet memories, oh, they change to swift demise. Dimming the lights to hide our love light. Baby, I am crazy for seeing this through. But baby, I can make it if I change myself for you. This is never ending. When will our time finally arrive? If I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? Oh, if I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? Wake at night, getting colder with no one to hold. Keep the fight a little longer, but my heart is getting old. But baby, I am crazy for seeing this through. But baby, I can make it if I change myself for you. This is never ending. When will our time finally arrive? If I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? Oh, if I keep this up, will you keep me by your side? If I keep this up, will you keep me by your side?
They say you fall in love too quickly, but you can't help yourself. And nobody knows how you feel except yourself. Your kiss is intoxicating. But baby, I've been down this lonely road before. Just tell me why, tell me why I will always come back for more. Yes, and you make me feel, you make me feel real. Whoa, make me feel real. Yeah, you make me feel you make me feel, you make me feel real. Whoa, make me feel real. Yeah, you make me feel
Today's podcast has been brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/210localmusic. Over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.